All right, let's dive into a pretty fascinating and mind-bending cosmic origin story. It's a metaphysical journey that takes us from a state of perfect oneness all the way into the universe we think we know.
So here's our roadmap. We're going to start in a world before time and space even existed. Then we'll look at the cosmic choice that seemed to change everything. And finally, we'll talk about the path that leads back to reality. You know, this whole explainer really hangs on one huge, provocative question from our source material. What if everything you experience, your life, the world, the entire cosmos, is just an elaborate dream you're having right this second? Okay, so to get this, we have to go back, way back. Before the Big Bang, before time. We're starting in a state of reality that our source calls heaven. Now, this isn't a place with clouds and gates, but a realm of perfect, abstract, unchanging unity. At the heart of this is a concept called non-duality. And it sounds kind of fancy, but it's really simple. It just means there's only one thing, one all-encompassing reality. There are no opposites, no you and me, no light and dark, just a single, unified whole. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the contrast here. On one side, you have that original reality, total oneness, formless, eternal. And on the other side, well, that's our world. A world of separation, individual bodies, constant change, time, and a whole lot of fear. So, if everything was so perfect and unified, what happened? How did we get from that to this? Well, according to our source, it all seemed to shatter because of a single, tiny, seemingly harmless thought. The source calls this the tiny, mad idea. And it's not some grand, evil plan. It's more like a fleeting, childlike question. Just a little what if? And here's the key part. God never answered it. Because, to answer a question about separation would be to make separation real. But here's the kicker. The mind that had the thought took it seriously. And that one little idea had massive consequences. As the source puts it, that single error was so huge that it demanded the creation of an entire universe, just to play out the fantasy of being on its own. So this whole separation thing seemed to happen in a flash, through 3 quick divisions in the mind. First, the mind went from being a co-creator with everything to a perceiver, suddenly aware of something other than itself. Second, that split created an immediate choice between 2 internal voices. One, the Holy Spirit, is like the memory of truth. The other, the ego, is the voice that loves this new idea of separation. And third, the mind chose the ego's story, and with that choice, it forgot it was ever part of the whole. So, boom, right after that slit, the mind is at this fork in the road, hearing 2 totally different stories. One voice is saying, hey, relax, none of this is real, you're still safe at home. But the other voice, the ego, is screaming, you did it. You broke away from God and you are in so much trouble. And you can probably guess which voice it decided to listen to. By choosing the ego, the mind suddenly believed it had committed this awful crime. So it needed an escape plan, a place to hide. And that escape plan was the creation of the entire physical universe. The ego's argument is basically a waterfall of fear. First, it tells the mind, you've committed a terrible sin. Second, you should feel incredibly guilty about it. Third, you better be terrified because a vengeful God is coming for you. And fourth, your only option is to run and hide. So get this, the entire universe, all the galaxies, stars, and planets, it wasn't made out of love or curiosity. According to this text, it was a defensive structure, a fortress, built entirely out of the mind's paralyzing fear of a God it now saw as its enemy. And this quote just sums up the whole situation so perfectly. You never actually left home. You're just lost in this really vivid and honestly often terrifying dream that you've been cast out and you're all alone. You can see it right here as a chain reaction. First, the idea is taken seriously. That leads instantly to guilt and fear. The mind can't handle that, so its defense mechanism kicks in. Projection. It just hurls the problem out there. And that powerful act of hurling out is what we call the Big Bang. The universe becomes the ultimate hiding spot. Okay, so that's the cosmic backstory. But how does this actually play out in our lives, day to day? What tricks does the ego use to keep us asleep, to keep us convinced that this crazy, chaotic illusion is the real deal? Well, its number one tool is something the source calls special relationships. And this isn't just about romantic partners, it's any relationship with a person, a group, even an enemy that we use to make ourselves feel separate, special, and individual. And it's such a clever trick, isn't it? Look at this. Whether we're talking about so-called special love or special hate, the ego's real goal is exactly the same. You use other people as a screen to project your own unconscious guilt onto, keeping it safely out there instead of looking at it in yourself. All the while, the ego's main strategy is to keep you busy. Its motto is basically, seek but do not find. It keeps you chasing solutions to worldly problems, running on a hamster wheel, always looking for the answer out there. Anywhere but in here, inside your own mind, which is where the problem and the solution actually is. Okay, so that might all sound a bit bleak, but here's the really good news. There's a way out of the dream, and it doesn't involve changing the world or fighting the illusion. It just means changing the mind that's dreaming it all up. The solution that's offered is called the atonement. Now, that word, it can sound really heavy, like you have to pay for a sin. But in this context, it just means a correction. It's the moment you undo that tiny mad idea by finally accepting that the separation never, ever happened. So the key takeaway here is pretty simple. You don't have to battle the dream. You don't have to fix the world. All you have to do is choose to see it differently. Instead of buying into the conflict and the drama, you can choose peace instead, with the help of that other voice, that memory of truth that's still inside you. And that brings us right back here to this very moment. It all comes down to the only real power you've ever had in this dream, the power to choose. At any given instant, you can decide which internal teacher you're going to follow, the voice for fear or the voice for love. The whole universe was born from one choice, and it can be undone by another. The only question is, which voice will you listen to now?